Welcome to another day of Closed on Monday. I'm on here with my first guest, Miss Debra Parks, one of the first successful entrepreneurs that I met a while ago. She's such as family, and she's more than a friend. So, hey, Miss Debra, how you doing this morning? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Very good. Waking up, but I'm good.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Let's see. I'm married, the mother of 3 kids. I've got a Dennis Jr. and 2 daughters. They're all adults and they have their kids. So I've got 5 grand girls and 1 boy. I've been a nurse for maybe 30 plus years. I started out as a CNA and had a passion for geriatrics. You know, I kind of love the old people because they had so much wisdom and they were so funny and they had good stories. So I'm a nurse by profession, and presently, you know, I'm retired and I'm not practicing nursing.
Okay. I do have another question besides what we already talked about. So what school did you go to?
I went, do you mean the school for nursing or just school in general?
School for nursing.
I went to Gordon College in Barnesville. I went 3 years. The first year I took my core classes, you know, your history, your English, and all of that stuff. I took it slow because I had, 3 kids and I worked a full-time job. I worked, now this is a long time ago. I worked at a factory and we made women clothes. So I worked at that factory and I took classes part-time my first year to knock out all my core stuff, because the second 2 years was strictly nursing and that had to be full-time.
Okay, real go-getter. Okay.
Yeah, but I still, even with nursing, get this, I still worked part-time in the summer at the hospitals. Yeah, and nursing homes. Yeah.
Okay. Besides your nursing career, why did you start your business? And plus, tell us the name of the business and what kind of business it was.
Okay. The type of business was, of course, medical, and it was hospice. And hospice is a program that provides care for terminally ill patients, you know, whether that be cancer or renal failure or lung diseases. You know, it can be a number of things. And there's a criteria that the patients have to fit to be eligible for a hospice program. Hospice has 2 sides. There's a home care side where nurses and CNAs and chaplains, social workers, everybody go to the home, you know, and help take care of that patient in the home. And there's also the inpatient side where, patients have some active problems, you know, like shortness of breath that the family can't control at home. So they'll come into the inpatient facility. So they have around the clock nursing care and aides and everybody to kind of get that crisis, you know, settled where they can go back home. And, you know, sometimes, of course, they don't go back home. You know, they stay with us because, you know, they're transitioning, or maybe you say toward the end of their life, and they need that around the clock care. So there's criteria for home care, and there's certainly criteria from the government for inpatient care, but we provided both.
That's very informative. I appreciate that. So carefully explain, how did you find your business partners / investors?
The business partner part was funny. I think I did about 17 years at the hospital here in Griffin, Georgia. And I worked a good 17 years there. I came to Griffin right out of the nursing program. And I worked on the medical oncology floor. That means that we took care of patients with all kind of chronic diseases, but we took care of all the patients that had cancer as well. So our expertise was cancer, you know, and providing care to those patients. So I grew up and became the charge nurse of a 40-bed unit. And my best friend was Robin Stanton. And, we took care of, cancer patients. We experienced a lot of patients that didn't want a lot of stuff done to them. they wanted to kind of go home and be taken care of and make sure they're comfortable and things of that nature. They didn't want a lot of stuff done to them, blood, surgery, things like that. So we would see that a lot, sometimes. And hospice back then was kind of, it wasn't new, but it wasn't a lot of it like it is now.
Right.
And we just wanted to provide a service where we could help folks at home, teach the families, how to care for the loved one and be a support. Hospice involves a lot of patient and family education, a lot of it. So me and Robin worked together for, I don't know, maybe about 15 years. There was another nurse, Tammy. We worked together. All of us were basically on the same floor.
Wow. And
we worked with cancer patients. And we just decided, that, we wanted to do hospice and we wanted to do it right. We wanted to provide end of life care. And to be honest with you, one day in December, it had snowed. A lot of the nurses couldn't get in the hospital. We were stuck there because if you were there, you had to be there, right?
Right.
Because you can't leave, And I was tired, I was hungry, and this is the truth now. And I was headed into the bathroom in the nurse's station. And I put my hand on the door and the Lord just kind of spoke to me. He said, hey, if you work this hard for somebody else, you can work this hard for yourself.
Ooh.
And that just kind of stuck with me because we had kicked around ideas of business. At one point, the four of us wanted to open a daycare, What else? We kicked around a lot of ideas about something we wanted to do for ourselves. And our manager was an older woman that trained us, and she had a degree in business. Even though she was the director and our boss, she still had a business head about her. Right. And we used to ask her all the time, Gwen, will you help us start a business? Gwen, will you help us start a business? And it was always no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Because we had the nursing background, but we didn't have the business, But this particular day, headed in that bathroom, when God, kind of laid that on my heart, hey, you working hard. And if you work this hard for somebody else, you can work this hard for yourself. So I kid you not, that day we went to lunch, me and Robin, and we asked Gwen one more time, will you help us? We want to start a hospice. And this day she said yes. We were shocked, but it was time. It was time. So, and we kind of went from there. But our partners, we all worked together many, many years. And it's something we wanted to do. And check this out, Montavis. You're probably going to ask me, maybe about the money or invest. It wasn't any investors initially. It was the four of us, and we ended up getting one more partner, but it started out being four. And to come up with the money to have an office somewhere, we had to each come up with $10,000 each. It was four of us. So guess how we got that money?
Oh, yeah.
We worked extra hours, extra overtime hours, and we, you calculate what it would be every 2 weeks, and you save that money. And actually, I ended up, saving some, and then I went to the bank and borrowed the rest because we had to have $10,000, all four of us. And we back then, God, that's been what? Maybe 20 years ago, and $10,000 was a lot of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's how we got our startup money.
I like that. That's a hustle mentality. So let's talk about some of the adversity that you guys went through, like rough patches.
Let's see. One of the things that was somewhat difficult was let's see, I would say once we found some land and all of that in Henry County, we needed a lot of money to build this building. And we went to several banks. We even went to the SBA. We went up there because we were minority. Well, most of us was Black and two partners were white. And we tried getting, money that way. we went to kind of a couple of banks, you know, here and there, because we actually, the building that we built
I didn't know that part. Y'all built?
Yeah, we built from the ground up,
wow.
A brand new 12-bed inpatient facility, all private rooms, in Henry County. Wow. And it cost us over $1 million. Wow. And, you know, we would look, we didn't have a lot of money. We were just working nurses. And, you know, like I say, SBA at first, you know, maybe we can get them to lend us, you know, they didn't do it. I remember us going to another bank, you know, giving them our plan of what we wanted to do. They didn't do it. And the fifth partner was a PA. Her name was Loretta, and she lived in Fayetteville. And she had a relationship with BB&T Bank. It's not BB&T anymore. It's Truett now, but it was BB&T back then. And BB&T ended up lending us the money. Actually, the manager of BB&T, after we done went all around the world trying to get this money, the manager of BB&T back then lived about 4 miles down the road from me. Wow. And he loaned us the money to build that building. And he trusted us, trusted what we wanted to do. We all had good working relationships. I had been in the hospital 17 years. We had, you know, credit. Our credit was okay. Our name was certainly good. And they loaned us the money. That's the person that designed our building. He wasn't a friend of ours, but his wife was a nurse that we had trained and worked with for some years. And her husband was an architect. He designed our building, you know, drew it out and everything like we wanted. And BB&T lent us that money, and we built that 12-bed inpatient facility on some property in Henry County. Wow. Yeah. Okay. And this was a little bit of a struggle too, because even though we had started the business, we still had to all of us still worked our full-time jobs. And we did the patient care, seeing about our patients, going to do visits after 12-hour shifts at the hospital.
Y'all pretty much rotated the whole time?
We rotated it. We had a schedule. Yeah. Where, you know, Monday was my day, Tuesday was this, yeah. Okay. We rotated that out. And we rotated out call, because a nurse had to be on call 24 hours. You know, we rotated that out too. Okay. Yeah. So it was tough. It was tough. We had to drive our own cars, put your own gas in, because we were trying to build a business, and we worked and saved everything that we made extra, and paid the bills for the land before we built the building. That land still had to be paid for. We had to pay the light bill in the office and all of that stuff. So yeah, it was something, but we did it.
So what is the potential growth for a business like this? Like
now, well, hospice is an awesome program, and it's more well known now than it was 20 years ago, right? Right. And right now, when we did ours, I want to say there was 0 inpatient unit in Henry County. There wasn't one. And we were like the first ones to come. Now there's several, you know, inpatient, several hospice companies. They're everywhere. You know, it's just big because, you know, people are living longer. You know, elderly people live longer, and they, you know, need care. But it's still a good business. It's a great program. So, you know, there's people still starting up hospice programs right now.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's a needed service, and it's a good service. And you just have to follow the state regulations, the guidelines, and make sure you're doing everything that they require you to do.
All right. Do you think it's saturated right now?
I think that there's a lot of them out there. I think there's a lot of big ones now that's buying up maybe some of the little ones that really, you know, can't survive because, you know, there's governmental changes. that take place. They may change these rules or they may change that, and you got to keep up with the changes, so that you're compliant, with the government, so that you can continue your program and, continue to be paid for the services that you provide.
Right.
But it's a lot of them now. A lot of them.
Right. So do you think you'll do it all over again? Like start over if you could? If you can go all the way back, would you start over all the way back? It wouldn't change anything.
I would definitely do it again. And the reason I say that is because we had a passion. We love taking care of people.
Right.
And in hospice, mind you now, you either love it or you don't. Number one, because you're dealing with a lot of death and dying. You're taking care of patients that are terminally ill, and they, they've accepted their diagnosis and they just want to live their best life. Some of them, have their plans in place and all of this, and they don't have a fear of death, and like I say, they want to be at home, they want to be comfortable, they want family with them, when they transition from what we know as earth or this life to, the next or whatever. Right. So you see a lot of death and dying. And you got to be able to deal with that. That's why I say you either like it, you like that type of care or you don't. Actually, now, not that I wouldn't do it, but because I did it for maybe somewhere between 15 and 18 years, I don't want to do death and dying now because it, you just have to deal with that. It messes with you emotionally.
For that.
Yeah. So I didn't even like to watch movies on TV that were sad. I had to watch stuff that was comedy or action. I didn't want to watch anything sad because I dealt with sadness every day. My worst day was when I think I had, and I know this might be a small number to some people, but I had 10 patients to die on me in one day. And that was a lot, Wow. But I did love the special part about it, Montavious, was how you got to educate the family, how you got to help the elderly wife be able to, take care of the husband and not be afraid, and they've got the support of nurses coming, every week or twice a week or whatever the care plan says to support them. And you've got a nurse coming in there getting that patient's medications lined up and getting them on routine of taking their medications like they're supposed to. And when you get somebody in there like that, you've got CNAs coming in to help with ADLs, which is baths, and getting patients dressed and getting them up, different things. The gratitude that you see from those family members is just, that's really worth it. How you support them. And they have not only nursing care, they've got the social worker to help them, if there's any programs out there that they can, be eligible for, aside from our program. You've got a chaplain, chaplain or / like pastor, somebody coming in to help them from that side. And like I said, the CNA. And even after patients, may pass away, I think I have to think about it now. It's been a while, unless it's changed. The chaplain and the bereavement people still follow that family for, I think maybe about 12 months or 13 months or something. Just helping them with that grieving process.
Right.
It's an awesome program. But you gotta like it. You either like it or you don't. Right.
As far as visitations, it just popped up in my head. Was it 24 hours visitation, or you had like time slots that they can come in?
Time slots for who to come in? Explain.
For the family to come in and visit their loved ones. Oh,
okay. In the inpatient unit, no. They could come, anytime, around the clock, because they were private rooms, and in every room we had this big, nice, comfortable, big chair that would let out to like a twin bed because a lot of family members would spend the night, they would stay with mom or dad or the husband or the wife or the child or whatever. So, and inpatient, we provided, the 3 meals and different things for the patients, sort of like a hospital, if they were able to eat and stuff like that. Right. But no, the family could come anytime. The care was around the clock. It's just for us from a security standpoint, if they between the hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., those double doors are open. They come in and sign in and they just visit. If you're going to visit after 8, then we had security systems. You had to be buzzed into the building because the whole building was on lockdown, So, yeah, stuff like that. But you can't deny them, from coming to see mom or dad or whatever.
Right.
So, like I said, it is an awesome service.
It sounds really. So what advice would you give to a group of individuals or one person that's interested in jumping into an industry like this?
It's got to be something you want to do. Right. I cried many a night because I had worked 12 hours. Ooh. My phone rang. No, back then there were beepers. My beeper went off. I had to look at that number and dial because a family member has got some issues. And I got to get up and get dressed and I got to get to them and help them, whether it's, giving some medication to get rid of that anxiety or dealing with shortness of breath or a pain crisis. You got to get up. And back then, Martavia, this is funny. There was no GPS cars didn't have GPS then. Right. Yeah. We printed off MapQuest.
Right.
We printed off MapQuest and you're out, in the night, especially if you've never been, to the patient's house and you're using MapQuest to find them because we serviced a lot of, counties, there was Pike County, Butts, Henry, Lamar, Pike, Clayton, the counties. And, if they needed you had to go, and that's just a regulation. If something's going on with the patient, I think the reg used to say that you had to get to them within an hour. So it's got to be something that you definitely want to do.
All right.
And it wasn't that stressful for us because that was our background, terminally ill, even in the hospital. So we knew what we were doing. So it just can't be a fly by night thing. It's a lot of hard work. Like I said, we worked full-time jobs and that program because we didn't have a lot of money. Now, if you're a bank, then that's different, but it still has to be something you want to do because there's a lot of rules and regulations. Patient too. Passion
or something like this. I see.
Yes, absolutely.
If you can't
just look. I tell you, honey, I love the geriatric. I love taking care of those elderly patients. They were comical, and just the history of their lives, stuff that they could tell you that they had seen and done was wonderful.
Okay.
It's got to be something you want to do, and that's with anything, Right. You got to have a love for it. It's got to be something that you would do for free, basically. Right.
Wow.
If you had to, just because you love it that well.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. So what are you doing now? Like what is today's life like?
Now I'm not nursing. I still don't watch sad stuff on TV, but now,
as you mentioned before, you're still licensed, so you could go back if you wanted to.
Yes. I thought about going to New York when COVID first came out and getting the big money, because it was a major, and it still is kind of a shortage because COVID has kicked back up. But I'm still licensed. I keep that because I had to work so hard. That RN license was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But I'm licensed, but presently I haven't practiced nursing in about 4 years. So I'm at home every day and looking and learning about, investing. And I also do assist with a after-school program, after-school feeding program, actually. Me and 3 other ladies, we kind of prepare meals for usually the average is about 50 kids in Spalding County. We prepare a hot meal, good meal for them every day after school, and they come to the different gyms and have people helping them with homework and stuff like that. And I really like that too. I think that's an awesome program.
Oh man,
so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not nursing, just learning about investing, and I assist with an after school feeding program for, kids in Spalding County.
Let's talk about some of the investing you're doing right now.
Oh dear God.
We're gonna tap in a little bit in that, and then we're gonna conclude.
I think it's wonderful if you can learn about. Actually, I'm learning to be a trader. There's a little bit, of a difference. A trader.
You already learned.
Well, hey, I'm gonna keep that on the down low.
Okay.
A trader is somebody that does short term. You're making money short term. An investor is somebody that invests for maybe long term, years. I learned the skill of trading for income because I'm not working, and I was extremely bored for one thing, because I've worked all my life, and that was something that I wanted to know how to do. So I invested in myself, and I took a course, and I did learn it, and I do trade basically every day for income, and I do love it. I love it. I never thought that I could learn a skill where I could read charts and graphs and understand what the chart is telling me and what it's saying, and know where to get in, where to get out. Never thought that I could do that because I thought it was too hard for us.
Right.
Us.
Right. That's what it makes it seem like, but I did learn it. I took a wonderful course. It was worth every penny as far as I'm concerned. And I'm still, going after knowledge, but I can go in the market and make money any day I want to. That's a skill that, I've learned, and nobody can take it from me. I actually want to get my children or the grandkids interested in it, but they can't be still long enough. That's how I was
now.
Right. I was trying to do my nephews like that. My nieces, they're a little older than my nephews. They just don't want to learn it right now.
They still want to work.
Right.
And make somebody else wealthy.
They gotta shift their mindset first.
Absolutely. That's what it takes. They gotta shift their mindset, and they gotta put in the work. You gotta put in the work to learn it and master it. Like I say, I'm still, adding to my toolbox, trying to learn more and more about it. But I do know how to go in the market and pull some money out every day.
That's powerful. Well, thank you so much for joining the Close on Monday show. And I appreciate you. This is a podcast, by the way. And I appreciate you. And if you got any questions for me, you can shoot them right away. But we always going to talk, especially about money. So
yes, you're one of my babies. You're one of my godsons. You've been grandfathered in.
Right.
But thank you for having me, Montavious. And I hope I said something that could help somebody.
I promise you said more than enough. You said more than enough.
Okay.
They're gonna learn something from this. So that concludes the show for the day.
Okay. All righty. Take care.
Yeah. The name's Mon Skelton, serial entrepreneur, real estate investor laying bricks from the floor. Got methods to help you manage life from its core, with stocks and cryptos, closing deals like a door. Chasing your dream, reaching regions abroad, closing deals and everything you've wanted before. Long as you know what you're doing it for. This is Closed on Mondays, we settle the score.